Hi, everyone, and a warm welcome back to Mindsprout Books, the channel where we explore holistic self-development through the wisdom of books. On October 6th, the 82-year-old French author Annie Ernaux was awarded the 2022 Nobel Prize in Literature for the courage and clinical acuity with which she uncovers the roots, estrangements, and collective restraints of personal memory. Her masterpiece, The Years, has been widely embraced by the public, profoundly impacting millions of readers. It's a truly unique autobiography. Ernaux tells her life story not through the singular I, but through the collective we or she. She weaves together collective and personal memories with a sociological lens to tell, with utmost authenticity and vibrancy, the story of a woman's journey from childhood to old age, spanning 60 years of a constantly changing world. Those years are like a photo album. Each time we look back, we can clearly see the mistakes, disappointments, and heartaches of each different stage of life. It's in these moments that a single decision can alter the course of a lifetime. Some choose correctly, some keep making mistakes, some move forward, while others remain stuck in the past. Reading this book, you will walk alongside the author on her life's journey, a path with both sharp thorns and fragrant flowers, to understand how you should live and what choices to make at every stage of your life. And now, let's dive into a reflection from Mindsprout Books titled 3 Decisions That Change a Lifetime, inspired by the autobiography The Years by Annie Ernaux. In your youth, the decision to embrace reading will help you swim against the tide. Annie was born in a small town in Normandy, France. She grew up in poverty in a world of low, dilapidated houses filled with decaying furniture. The harsh living conditions meant that children there often died from starvation and infectious diseases. Her father was a farmhand, then a factory worker, while her mother, who left school early to marry, sold odds and ends. Financial constraints and physical hardship seemed to erode the love and warmth parents could offer their children. In Annie's memory, her father was an alcoholic, crude in his words and actions. Her mother was incredibly strict. Those at the bottom of society couldn't change their circumstances, so they poured all their hopes for a better future into their children. In the years she was growing up, society was deeply conservative. For a girl, no amount of beauty, education, or intelligence was as important as preserving her dignity and virginity. Under this value system, her mother became her strictest warden until marriage. As a girl, she wasn't allowed to watch movies or read anything about love, nor could she wear short skirts or colorful clothes. As a teenager, Annie never went out alone and never attended a single party. The young Annie grew increasingly curious about the feeling of being in love. She secretly watched romance films and read love stories, even trying to date a boy. But she worried that her excuses for going out would eventually be exposed, so she quickly ended the relationship. When she turned 18, Annie got a chance to work and study part-time at a summer camp. She felt finally that she was free. At the time, she was at a missionary school. Tall and simply dressed, Annie looked like a diligent, well-behaved student, but her heart was full of desires. She often envied her wealthy classmates, wishing she could dress fashionably like them to win attention and affection. Then one day, at the first dance of her life, Annie intentionally took off her thick glasses and let her hair down to look prettier. A group leader named H, the first boy to ask her to dance, stole a kiss when the lights went out for a few seconds. She had already noticed this tall, handsome, blonde-haired boy, and was surprised when he made the first move. It was a completely new experience for Annie. She thought she was on the verge of a wonderful romance. However, H was a seasoned player who only intended to have some fun with her. On the second day, Annie discovered him with another beautiful girl. Devastated, she ran from his room, only to be surrounded by other campers who had witnessed the scene. They mocked her humiliating failure, even pouring a bucket of water over her. As their taunts grew louder, she saw H through her soaking hair. She broke through the crowd, screaming his name for help and throwing herself into his arms. But H just smirked, said nothing, and walked back to his room. Annie was deeply hurt and disillusioned with love. From then on, she lost herself. She started joining wild parties, dancing, and living recklessly. She lost interest in her studies and neglected her part-time job, and as a result, the summer camp rejected her application for work. But the most painful consequence of her abandon was the bitter fruit she had to taste. She discovered she was pregnant. What would become of her life? How could she face her parents and the conservative society of the time? The mere thought was suffocating. Fear, loneliness, and a sense of being lost overwhelmed the 18-year-old girl. She had no idea what to do. But in that moment of despair, a flicker of light appeared at the end of the tunnel. One day, Annie read a book called The Second Sex, and it was a wake-up call. She realized her relationship with H was completely unequal. There was no love. He had only used her as a tool to kill his own loneliness, a victim to be cast aside at will. Annie wanted to become an independent, self-reliant woman. She had to escape this life of ignorance. She also realized that diligent study was the only path to her salvation. And so, Annie found the courage to have a secret abortion, put her simple clothes back on, and immerse herself in a sea of books. In the end, through hard work, she was accepted into university. College was the happiest time of her life. She read countless books, studied literature, practiced writing, paid attention to social issues, participated in various activities, and won the highest scholarship. After graduating, Annie became a teacher. She now had a respectable job, could support herself in a big city, and had completely escaped the nightmare of the slums. Through her dedication to learning, she had lifted herself out of the bottom rung of society. Through reading, she had opened up a new world and found her own path. In youth, the choice to study may seem simple to many, but it can shape the entire direction of one's life. Annie's journey, much like Tara's in the book Educated, proves once again that education is not just a way out of poverty. It is the most powerful tool for a person to build their own future. Many say that studying isn't the only way out, nor is it the best path to wealth and success. But in reality, for many ordinary people, especially for children from disadvantaged backgrounds, education and reading are the fastest shortcuts to changing their destiny. This isn't just an empty cliche. It's a truth of immense weight, one whose heaviness we might only fully grasp at the end of our lives. I myself am one of those people who, every single day, feel a deep gratitude for my mother. No matter how difficult our financial situation was, no matter the hardship of raising a child alone for over 20 years, my mother did everything in her power to ensure I could go to school. That opportunity led me to the classroom and to a friendship with books. And it was those books that completely changed my fate. They broadened my horizons, allowing me to look up at the stars even when I was stuck in the mud. They helped me overcome my biases, rise above mediocrity, love both extremes of pain and happiness, accept imperfection, and embrace it all to understand the immense power of love and dedication. As one writer said, books are the most patient and pleasant of companions. They will never desert you. I've navigated many of life's difficult thresholds with the help of books. They nurture and enrich anyone's inner world, helping us grow, bit by bit, into a better version of ourselves. Where our feet cannot take us, the words in a book can. If we don't read and continually enrich our inner selves, then even if we travel thousands of miles, we are no more than a mail carrier. Every book is like a door. Where you want to go is up to you. A younger cousin of mine from the countryside once messaged me asking, "What should I choose?" My dad says girls don't need a higher education. Finishing high school is enough. Then I should get a job to help the family and get married. I asked her, "Well, what do you think?" She replied, "I don't know. My dad is only paying for me to study for the entrance exams this year. I really want to, but I've forgotten so much from the last 3 years. I'm afraid I'll fail, and then my family will criticize me." I told her, "Don't be afraid. If you don't pass this year, try again next year. I'll help you with the tuition." I told her this because at the end of my own high school years, a sudden serious illness prevented me from taking my university entrance exams. A year later, when I had recovered, there was less than a month before the official exams. No one believed I could pass. Even my relatives told me I'd be better off preparing to work in a factory. Only my mother supported me from beginning to end. In the end, with all the effort I could muster, I managed to review all my final year material, practice with past exams, and get into my desired field of study within that 1 month. So, in my cousin's case, I believed that with enough determination and support, she would surely succeed. Even if she didn't get into her dream major, the process of cultivating perseverance would be immensely beneficial for her future. But in the end, she gave up. It's true what they say. Our destiny is in our own hands. Or more accurately, life's journey has many forks in the road. A right decision can lead you to a higher plane of existence, but on some paths, one wrong step can lead to 1,000 more. In life-altering decisions like these, studying and reading are the best ways to swim against the tide. There are countless people out there who yearn for an education, who long to lose themselves in the pages of a book but cannot. So, if you have the chance to learn and read, don't complain about the challenges it brings. And even if circumstances prevented you from studying when you were young, don't be disheartened. You can still improve yourself every day by reading and expanding your knowledge. If the opportunity arises in the future, you can also enroll in university courses for adults. This is not uncommon at all. When I studied abroad, many of my classmates were older adults, some even in their 50s and 60s. Not only was this perfectly normal, but everyone deeply admired these special classmates. Along with that, be patient and passionate about reading. Trust that as long as you maintain this surprisingly beneficial habit, the books you read will one day touch your heart and mind, transforming your life completely. They will help you live calmly and strongly, face any challenge, provide you with profound insights, open your mind, help you develop new skills, and find true joy in life. After your 20s, deciding to stop at the right time is what allows you to go further. Having tasted forbidden fruit in her school days, Annie was especially cautious about love and marriage in her mid-20s. However, the youth of that era were generally expected to start families, marry early, and have children. A person who remained single for too long would be gossiped about, even ostracized. To fit in and have something to talk about with her peers, Annie followed the crowd, putting her career on hold to get married as soon as possible. Within just a few years, she'd married a man who was not right for her and had 2 sons in quick succession. Her husband came from an intellectual family and worked for the state. After their marriage, his family provided her with a comfortable life. They moved into a large, well-equipped house, but married life was all-consuming. Every day, she juggled her job, housework, and childcare. After her second child was born, she abandoned her intellectual life, stopped reading and writing, and focused solely on practical matters. Her husband occasionally helped with a few chores, but was mostly absent. Influenced by writers like de Beauvoir and the feminist movement in France, she had once pursued a love based on equality, dreaming of a marriage with a spiritual connection and mutual support. In reality, apart from talking about parents and children, she and her husband had almost nothing in common to discuss. Their life was monotonous, and the weight of everything fell on her shoulders. If Annie were gone for just one day, the entire family would cease to function. This went on for over a decade. In those hectic moments, Annie sometimes felt her existence was unreal. It was hard to imagine that the 20-year-old Annie, once full of passion, had vowed to publish a novel by 25 or die trying. Now her pen was gathering dust in a corner. She no longer took care of her appearance. Her hair was pulled back, her clothes frumpy. A smile remained on her lips, but she always looked tired. At 40, she felt she had drifted very, very far from her true self. During a family trip to Spain, while sitting on the terrace of a cafe, Annie found herself observing women between 35 and 50. She suddenly wondered, these women, who were once radiant young girls, how did they become like this? A sense of crisis washed over her. She seemed to grasp the truth that she only had one life. If she continued living this way, she would grow old as a soulless, tired, bored machine, indifferent to everything. And so, she finally made the decisive choice to end her mistaken marriage and live alone with her 2 sons. You see, sometimes cutting your losses in time, knowing when to stop, is the highest form of discipline. There's a Western proverb, "Don't cry over spilled milk." But why do so many people find it impossible to resist doing just that, crying their whole lives over milk that has already been spilled? In economics, there's a term called sunk cost, which refers to expenses that have been paid and cannot be recovered. Life is the same. Many people feel compelled to continue down a path because they've already invested so much, the sunk cost, and don't dare to stop. You buy a movie ticket, watch for half an hour, realize it's a bad film, but you sit through it anyway because you've already paid. You go to a tourist spot, and even though you're disappointed by the crowds and the reality that doesn't match the advertisements, you force yourself to see everything because you're already there. You stay with someone for years, knowing all their bad habits, gambling, drinking, lying, cheating, and that they don't appreciate you, but you continue because you've invested too much time, money, and emotion. You work a job that drains you mentally and physically every day, but you don't want to switch careers because you've been there for years. When sunk costs arise, our instinct is to grit our teeth and carry on. This mindset is deeply ingrained in many of us. We fear loss more than we value the potential gains of bravely stopping. As Yakos once said, 90% of life's pain comes from not knowing how to stop a mistake in time. Everyone makes mistakes. We take the wrong path, misjudge people, do the wrong thing. But making a mistake isn't the scary part. What's scary is knowing it's a mistake, but not having the courage to accept the loss and give yourself a chance to start over. As the writer Lin Yutang said, it is wiser to abandon a foolish consistency than to persist in it. Sometimes, stopping is what allows you to go further. It is a form of progress, a spectacular victory in itself. If your mind and body are exhausted right now, the only way is to allow yourself to stop. Stop to look inward, to find the courage to turn a new page for yourself. Let go of the bad things in the past, distance yourself from toxic people, and put an end to unworthy persistence. The greatest wisdom is to always leave yourself room for retreat and to stop at the right moment. In later life, don't hesitate to expand the boundaries of your world. The future is the sum of all our efforts to change. In her final years, Annie cast off all her chains. She no longer confined herself to the roles of a wife or a mother. She lived as herself. She moved to a new place, sold her old belongings, bid farewell to the past, and began to live life to the fullest. Her approach to raising her children also changed. She no longer fussed over every detail of housework or worried about their every move. Instead, she encouraged them to be independent. She also let go of anxieties about age and status, no longer caring about the opinions and judgments of others. When her children grew up and moved out, she felt increasingly comfortable in the quiet solitude of living alone. Like a free-spirited young woman, she spent her days reading, constantly enriching her inner world. Though she was well advanced in years and time had etched its lines on her face, she was still full of energy. She never stopped reading, never stopped writing. With breakthroughs in her work, she was finally honored at the age of 82 with the most prestigious award in literature, the Nobel Prize. Her story is not only a powerful source of encouragement, but also an endless well of inspiration for many. By breaking free from the world's shackles, she found immense strength and experienced a wonderful old age. Life may seem long, but the time you have to live for yourself is incredibly short. The truth is, many people spend their entire lives living for others. As a child, you study for your parents. As a young adult, you chase success for the approval of those around you. When you have a family, you live for your spouse and children. In old age, your emotional life is invested in your grandchildren. Looking back at the end of their lives, it seems they've done a lot. But in reality, they've just been repeating the same pattern within a narrow space. Only when a person stops defining themselves by who am I, who was I, or who must I become, and is no longer confined by roles and titles, can they reach their full potential and expand the boundaries of their life. In her later years, Annie found her true purpose, allowing herself to do what she loved for the value of who she was. A person who always enriches their inner world and remains calmly themselves will encounter countless beautiful things and wonderful surprises on their journey. Compared to other Nobel laureates, the stories Annie writes may seem ordinary. She authentically documents the changes of her time and herself, without dramatic ups and downs or shocking plot twists. Yet whether it's her school days, her married life, or her solitude in old age, her stories resonate deeply with readers. because they reflect the very normal state of existence for most people. As the philosopher Nietzsche once said, "No one can build you the bridge on which you, and only you, must cross the river of life." Life is like a long river, and at different bends, we will always face different challenges. But I have always believed that as you cross thousands of mountains and rivers, navigating all the highs and lows, as long as you have the desire to awaken, you will, no matter what, eventually be able to return. Return to your true self. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please share it with those who might need it. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to catch our latest videos every week. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.